All right, guys, this is the LIHTUN 26-liter electronic humidor. I am going to go ahead and give you my initial impressions of it, and then we're going to get into testing. So, this is a electronic humidor to control humidity and temperature. We're going to be testing the effectiveness of that throughout the video, but we're going to open it up and give it a look here. First, on the outside, these electronic humidors always have those kind of like sleek and modern design. So, they don't have that traditional wood look if you're looking for that, but, you have the ability to control your temperature and humidity that might trump aesthetics. So let's see. So this has a recessed handle at the top to open it with. So the door does not open a full 180. So it's kind of sits there at an angle. Now the drawers do clear when it's open all the way. So we have three kind of drawers. The first two here are more of a platform. So you can see they have no walls. They do have a front lip, so at least they won't roll off that way, your cigars. Second one's another one. It's a platform, although it has a larger lip. It's got a cool little design on it, the Indian there though. And the third one is at least a drawer. Not very high, but it is a walled drawer. So I think they advertise this as holding 150 cigars. So that means it's probably more like 110, 120, something else we'll be testing out. It also has its water dish, and this water dish slides into a slot here. And there's a fan back there. I can see the fan. That's what's going to do the humidity control. Once the sensors detect that the humidity level is off, the fan will kick on and disperse water. So one thing we're going to test is the different levels, if the humidity is the same throughout, or if we have like differences or dead spots, because it doesn't have, I don't know if it really has a full circulation. There is a second fan at the top, so that could help when it's blowing, but it's something we'll definitely check out and see. So there you go. I mean, that's pretty simple. Now it looks like the lights are on the side here instead of the top, and I do like that. The electronic humidors with the lights on top, once you have cigars there, it pretty much blocks the light. So it's nice they have these as strips on the side. All right, so we are going to get this seasoned, and then we will be testing it. We will be testing its upper range and lower range of temperature control. We're going to test its humidity, and we're just going to see how this thing does. So stay tuned. Oh, and one other thing. Some of these electronic humidors, when they come, have a real strong plasticky smell. And sometimes you can't even get rid of that smell, and that's no good. That's a no-go. You don't want that kind of odor where you're keeping your cigars. This one does not. This one I have no plasticky smell at all. It's perfectly fine, but I am still going to take a clean dry rag and distilled water, and I'm going to wipe down the inside just to make sure it's nice and clean and ready to go. All right, so I wiped down the unit with distilled water. Like I said, there was no plasticky smell on this one, so it was fine, but still, you should always just wipe it down because it's brand new. And now we're going to go ahead and season it. Now, some people argue you don't season an electric humidor, but I still do because it's certainly not going to hurt it. All I'm going to do is put some distilled water with a little bit of sponge in the tank, and I'm going to slide that in there, and with just this to season, just the drawers, it should be overnight. I wouldn't expect it to take longer than that. So we're going to put that in there, and I'm going to take one of my hygrometers and stick it in here, and we'll be back in about 24 hours. All right, guys, I am back with the LIHTUN 25-liter electronic humidor. So I've been letting this sit for the last 24 hours to season. We're going to check this out. We are at 76% humidity, so we are good. All right, so the next step, I'm actually going to want to test temperature control on this, to temperature and humidity. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this to the upper limits of what it'll let us set it to and see if we can heat this up. Right now in my basement, it is 68 degrees. We've had some temperature swings here in Ohio lately, so sometimes it's 66, sometimes it's 70, but we're going to put this to the upper limits and see if this will actually increase the heat to as high as it'll let us go. So we're going to plug this in and we'll get back to it. All right, so we're plugged in now. We are going to adjust. There's our light, and We're going to set this to go to 69 is as high as it will go. We will set our humidity at 68. That's where I like my humidity at best. 69 is the closest I can get in the Boveda packs, but we're going to set that at 68. So how low does it go? All right, so it looks like 69 degrees is as high as it's going to let us set. So we're going to set this at 69 degrees and 68 for humidity. And we are going to put our hygrometer temperature gauge back in there. And we're going to let this run for a couple of days and see where the temperature stays. We'll be back. Okay guys, I am back with the LIHTUN 25L electronic humidor. We were testing its upper range, which is 69 degrees. And you can see right now it is at 69 degrees. So this humidor, I've watched it over the last 3 days fluctuate. It'll be at 69 for a while, but then when the motor kicks off, and the motor is super quiet on this, it's really quiet. But it is using that Peltier module, which isn't as efficient as like a compressor. And when it kind of shuts off, when it reaches that 69, I'll see it fall to like 67 degrees and it has to work its way back up. But it also goes to show you, you want to keep this in a temperature controlled environment. If you have this out somewhere like in a garage or something where you don't have that thermostat, like in your home, and you're not controlling the temperature, it is never going to get where you want it to be. You know, if it's 85 degrees in the room, this is not going to get down to 69. Or if it is 50 degrees because you're in Michigan in the winter, this won't get up to 69. That module just doesn't have that kind of power to do that the way it functions. So you got to keep that in mind and set your expectations. All right, so now we are going to check the lower end of the spectrum. We're going to test this by setting this as low as it will go at 59 degrees. That's pretty low. And we're going to see if it can go down and maintain that, or how close it is. Again, my basement where we're at is generally about 66, 67 degrees. So we'll see how this does when we try to maintain a low temperature. Now, I'm not saying you should ever do this with your cigars, although 69 is probably where you would probably want to set it, honestly, for the temperature. But I don't think you would ever want to go down to like 59 degrees. But we're going to just test the capacity of this. All right, so we'll give it a few days and we'll be back. All right, guys, I'm back with the LIHTUN 25L electronic humidor. This has been running the last 5 days now at its lowest setting at 59 degrees and 68% humidity. It stayed steady there. It's easier for this to cool than it is to heat, and it's just the way that module works. It's meant to extract heat, and trying to reverse that, it's harder for it to stay up at those upper temperatures consistently. Like I said before, when I ran it higher, it would get up to the 69 degrees, then it would fall down to like a 67 and have to work its way back up. So it did have some variance depending on how cold it is in the room. And that's just, like I said, a function of that Peltier module that it uses. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this into action. I'm actually going to load this with some cigars, and I'm going to set it at 69 degrees and 68% humidity. And I'm going to give it a week and monitor it, and I'll be back to see how it does. All right, so we got some cigars here. We're going to go ahead and put some in each level. Okay, we're going to stick our hygrometer back in here. And now, let's get that up. 69 degrees, and we're already at 68% humidity. We're going to let this run for about 5 to 7 days, and I'll be back and let you know how it goes. And I just want to show you guys there is this tray in the back that collects condensation. So there's some water in here because I had that temperature down so low it created condensation. So I'm actually going to dump this out and put it back in. But just to know, if you buy this humidor, that is something you got to kind of monitor. You know, every once in a while I'll go and check that and make sure it's not overflowing. I mean, this has been running for a couple of weeks now with all the testing. So yeah, make sure you check that tray. So the LIHTUN has been holding steady at 69 degrees and 68% humidity the last few days. We're still going to give it a few more before we come back and finish off this review. Okay guys, I am back and we're going to be finishing up the review of this LIHTUN 25L electronic humidor. I mean, you can see up here right now we are sitting at our set 69 degrees and 68% humidity, but the more importantly to me is the humidity, and we want to check that. So my hygrometer says 69% humidity and 68.5 degrees, so very close to the settings. I mean, you're within a half a degree on the temperature and you're about 1% away on the humidity. So good. Overall, it did a good job with that. So now we are going to kind of test and see realistically what do we think this will hold as far as how many cigars. So I'll be back. Okay guys, so I got a pretty good assortment here of ring gauges and from Robusto to Toro sizes. Just a couple things I want to point out. One, Churchill's will not fit this way. Churchill's would have to go the long ways. In fact, really anything bigger than just kind of your standard Toro isn't gonna fit up and down. So anything longer than just that basic Toro, you're not really gonna be able to put in the short way, right? Okay, so we're gonna go on this and we're gonna see how many we can stack in this drawer. And I'm gonna see if I can stack it a little bit above and how well it fits in there when it's stacked above the wall. Okay guys, so I'm back. I was able to fit 2 rows of 14 Toro size cigars, various ring gauges, in the first 2 levels. Here on the next level, I was able to only fit like 13, what I felt securely, and then I put another 11 on top of that. So a total of 52 cigars in this drawer. I did try to do another level on top of that, but it just felt too insecure trying to move the drawer in and out. So 52 cigars is about the most I would say would fit in this drawer. Toro sized again. So we slide those in. There is more room there. It's just it didn't feel secure to me. So there you go. 52 in that drawer. Now I'm going to go back and do these other 2 platforms. All right, on the second level, a platform doesn't have walls. I have fit 37 cigars, and that's about as comfortable as I feel stacking them without them starting to slide off. So 52, 37, 89 to this point. Okay, on this upper platform, I got 35 cigars as well. You got to be careful stacking on these 2. You got the slip on the front, but nothing on the side, so you do got to kind of watch it. But all said and done, you're looking at about 124 cigars of Toro size, different ring gauges fitting in this. So that's your storage capacity, pretty good. All right, I'll be back with my final thoughts. All right, so my final thoughts. This worked pretty much exactly how I expected it to. Knowing that it uses kind of that Peltier module, it's not as efficient as something or as powerful as a compressor. I knew that when it got colder, the temperature would drop, but it'd have to work its way up, vice versa. But like you can see right now, it's back up to 69 degrees. It's only been maybe 5 or 10 minutes since I had switched over the camera. So it does a good job when it's in a temperature controlled environment. But if you're looking, like I've seen some people take these kind of electronic humidors and put it out in their garage and complain when it's not regulating the temperature to where they want it. Well, that's because you've got it outside of a temperature controlled place. It's just not going to do it. So for what it is, it did a good job. Now the humidity stayed consistent regardless of what the temperature was really. When I had the door shut, it sat around that 68-69%, which is just exactly where I want it. It's got good capacity. It's, I mean, if you want that, don't mind that kind of modern look, it's nice with the silver and the black and everything else. It's got the tempered glass, and it is actually double pane tempered glass. There's a pane on the inside and on the outside. Definitely, this is a nice unit. Now they run about $229, but if you actually click the link down in the description and you use code SIPPIN10, you can get 10% off if you want to buy one of these or any of the products from this company. So there you go. That is the LIHTUN 25L electronic humidor. It works good if you keep it in a controlled environment, like inside your home. It's not something you're going to want to store outside in a garage or in a shed or anything like that. So until next time, remember, the best bourbon whiskey, Cigar Humidor, is the one you like the most.